Hey, in this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you 3 top property strategies. We're gonna be looking at rent to rent, deal packaging, and serviced accommodation. If you're new to this channel, make sure you smash the subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you can hit the like button, that will really help the algorithm. So let's get into this and let's look at 3 top property strategies.
Welcome to Mr. Leon Ryan!
Let's have a look at rent to rent. Now, I know lots of you are gonna wanna be starting with this strategy. So what is rent to rent? Rent to rent is where an individual or a company rents a property from a landlord where the landlord receives fixed rent. You can use a corporate let agreement or a management agreement can be used. Rent to rent is a great way to get started. You can scale relatively easy once you've got the systems and processes in place. You typically take on the property anywhere between 1 to 6 years. You can do rent to rent HMO, which is a house and multiple occupancy. You then take full responsibility for the management of the property. You pay the rent to the landlord, and you also offer the landlord no voids, no maintenance. So that's really appealing for the landlord. You can also do rent to rent serviced accommodation where you're using booking.com or Airbnb to go and find guests. This is a high cash flowing model. It's relatively easy to scale. You will cover all the bills. So the gas, the electric, the council tax, all the utilities, you become responsible for that. Your profit is the rent or money collected minus the rent that you pay the landlord and the bills. Typically, you're looking to make between £500 and £1,500 net profit per property. Anything under 500, I just wouldn't do. £1,000 will be your average. There's no mortgage deposit needed and very, very little upfront capital, guys. Very little upfront capital. I've literally had graduates of mine go and get deals for £200-300 down. Typically though, your average investment into a rent to rent deal is gonna be in the region of £3,000 to £5,000, okay? £3,000 to £5,000. And ultimately, if you haven't got that cash available, well, hey, what can you do? You can get it on a credit card, you can go borrow the money from the bank, you can go see a friend or family member, you can get an investor to come in. Money should never stop you from doing anything in property, business, and success, because I've been teaching you how to go and JV, and you can JV with people on pretty any different type of opportunity. So rent to rent is a great place to get started. We will be going more through the rules and regulations later in the model, but if you are looking for a high cash flowing, income replacing model where you haven't got to raise loads of deposits, you haven't got to go and buy something. This is really good also if you've got like really bad credit or maybe CCJs, because in some cases when you're dealing with the landlord directly, hey, it's done on know you, like you, and trust you, right? Okay, and you can get those deals direct from the vendors. You can also find these deals from landlords. You can go on to Spare Room and find deals, Facebook groups and find deals, and we'll be showing you later on how to go and find these types of deals. So rent to rent, very simple model. You are renting a property from an existing landlord. That landlord is then allowing you to operate that as serviced accommodation or as a HMO. You are becoming liable for the rent that you need to pay the landlord, and then you make the difference from the money that you collect minus the rent, minus the bills. And typically speaking, you will make £1,000 per property per deal. I love deal packaging because you find the deals and you can sell them to other investors. This is one of the highest key result areas in property, but it's the one thing that many people find difficult because of time. And even me, I have bought deals before from deal sourcers. So you can become a deal sourcer, a deal packager, and you can typically charge £3,000 to £5,000 for sourcing a rent-to-rent, single-let, HMO, or a small flip onto someone else. If you're sourcing on rent-to-rent deals and you, let's say, get a 5-year contract agreed, you can typically sell that for £1,000 per year that you have the contract. You can also then go and source on bigger deals like land development and commercial conversions. This is where you start to make bigger chunks of cash, and you can be charging between 1% and 3% of the purchase price. So you go and source a land development deal, purchase price £1 million, and you bung in a 2% sourcing fee, that's £20,000 that is paid to you. Very little upfront cash needed when it comes to deal packaging. Of course, you just need to make sure you are compliant. It's easy to scale. You've just got to decide how many deals you want to source on, and it's a great way to build up pots of cash that you can then use as deposits for your own property purchases if you're not using joint venture funds, or hey, you can always do a mix of all of it, right? So deal packaging is a great way to get into the market. It's a great way to get these 3, 4, 5, 6, £10,000 pots being paid to you. One of the things that you need to focus on is you've got to focus on finding the investors, okay? This is important, yeah? It's very similar to the sourcing solution product that I shared with you in previous models, because you will get some investors that want you to source, project manage, and then manage the tenants. Other investors, you're just going to want to source the deal on, or you can offer a turnkey solution where you can literally make money from sourcing it, project managing, and then managing the tenants. But when you're dealing with investors, always get that initial commitment fee from them. And if let's say you was one of my investors and you wanted me to source you deals, you're gonna need to pay me a deposit to get started. I'm not just gonna source you deals, then show you them, and then you can say yes or no. I only wanna source for serious committed people, right? So what I would do is I'd say, look, okay, John, no problem. I'm going to source you this deal. It might take me up to 90 days to source it. You've got to activate me and my team. You've got to pay a £2,000 refundable fee that activates me. I've got the criteria of what you're looking for. I'll go now find the deal. And then once you're happy, you can then pay the balance and go and do the deal, right? I wouldn't be sourcing for anyone unless they have paid me some type of refundable deposit. So great way to get started, great way to build relationships. And look, I would definitely be thinking about having this as another income stream. You could go and build your own rent-to-rent business, for example. You're probably not going to be able to do all the deals yourself. So why don't you just sell a few on? Trudy Searley, Trudy, one of my personal academy graduates, is an amazing lady. She also came onto the Property Millionaires Retreat, which is an exclusive retreat that we run every year overseas. We ran it in Marbella for the last couple of years. And Trudy, she said, Liam, I just want to go and package a few deals. She went and found 2 deals. She sold them, £10,000 cash. Hey, do you think her investment into the academy was a worthwhile investment? Well, of course it was. So have a think. Do you like the idea of packaging and selling deals? The downside is that you're not going to own the property. So it's not a wealth creation strategy. It's not necessarily passive income, because it's not money that's going to keep coming in on autopilot. But hey, if you're in some bad debt now and you like the idea of maybe, hey, if you could just source 1 deal a month at say £5,000 a deal and do 12 deals a year part-time, would that be pretty good? £60,000 a year just for using Rightmove, just for making phone calls and going on a bunch of viewings and building relationships. It's not a bad business to be in, and it will probably make you a lot more money than what you're currently doing. So keep an open mind with deal packaging. It's a great income stream to your property portfolio. So what is serviced accommodation? Serviced accommodation is a fully furnished apartment or house available for short-term and long-term stays. They are inclusive of all utility bills and provide all the hotel-like amenities. You charge by the night, week, or month, and you can charge per guest. So there's no AST, there's no tenancy agreement. They are a guest, there's no AST. It's very similar to hotel accommodation. You don't have tenant issues. So, you know, when you are a landlord and you rent out a property to tenants and then they don't pay you, it can be difficult and painful to get them out. You've got to take them to court and all of this type of stuff. There's no mortgage required if you're doing rent-to-rent serviced accommodation. You get the payment at the time of the booking over credit card. You get massive HMO plus returns for a single let property. You can use booking.com or Airbnb to find your bookings, and you get different types of guests. You get mid-range budget, mid-range luxury, executive, businessman, contractor. You get tradesmen, holiday makers, families, tourists, city breaks, short business trips. The market for this is massive, and serviced accommodation is one of the UK's fastest growing property strategies, and you can systemize the entire business. You don't even need to check in your tenants, right? Literally, it can be hands off. You have cleaning companies that go in and do the turnaround. You have key boxes available or key codes so people can check in and check out. There's many ways in which you can find your guests. You can go out to the leisure market. You can go to the corporate market. And more people are wanting home from home accommodation. They don't want to be staying in hotels. You know, they want to go into nice apartments, and ideally, when you're looking for serviced accommodation, a house can work, a one-bedroom flat can work, but you want minimum cash in, maximum profits out, and the best types of properties to look for in most areas, but not all areas, are going to be 2-bedroom apartments. You know, apartments that have recently been built. You haven't got to do a lot of work to them. You can go and get them on a rent-to-rent basis, or, you know, you can go and buy houses or flats to use as well. Definitely worth a look at, guys. You know, I love serviced accommodation. Many of my graduates, you know, Rob Mason, 26 serviced accommodation units now. Alex Lee, 9 serviced accommodation units now. You know, these guys are doing fantastically well. So keep an open mind with serviced accommodation. You can be hands-on or hands-off. It's a great high cash flowing strategy. And hey, maybe you've got a flat at the moment that's kicking you in £200 net profit as a single let. Hey, why not convert that to serviced accommodation that could be making you 5 or 6 times the profit? So what property strategy are you going to start with? I love business, I love property. Income follows assets. Hey, look at the comments below and grab yourself some free resources. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and make sure you stay tuned for more videos right now.